Next on Broadway Profiles, when will Broadway be back? The new plan to reopen theaters in New York City. Plus, Stand for Change. I'll talk to the amazing Vanessa Williams about bringing a powerful new anthem to life for Black Theater United. And she's a Broadway star, a TV star, and music star. Now, Katharine McPhee is taking on her most important role yet as mom. I'm Tamsen Fadal, and this is Broadway Profiles, presented by Broadway.com. So glad you could be here. I'm Tamsen Fadal. Well, we have been saying it for months. Broadway will be back. Now, we think we finally know when. The wheels are finally in motion to bring Broadway back in 2021. The target date is this September. It's already been more than a year since the shutdown, by far the longest in Broadway history. But the city of New York is now working with the theater community to get this right. The plan includes mass vaccinations for theater workers, not just the actors, but everyone who works behind the scenes as well. Plus, the city is planning on pop-up testing sites near our theaters and developing ways to manage the crowds both before and after the shows. Black Theater United is out with a powerful new anthem and a new music video. This is Stand for Change.
I can't tell you how. I can't tell you when, but we'll lay this burden down and lift our hearts again. As one refrain, mighty cloud of flame, nothing stays the same.
The song brought to life by some of the biggest names and biggest voices in the Broadway community. 13 founding members of BTU, including Billy Porter, Audra McDonald, Brian Stokes Mitchell, LaChance, and Vanessa Williams. Black Theater United was formed last summer in the spirit of activism, advocacy, and creating lasting change in the theater community. I had a chance to talk with Tony nominee Vanessa Williams about the origins of Stand for Change and what it means to BTU.
Well, so how have things been going during the shutdown and everything for you? I know we're all waiting for Broadway to come back, and there's been some movement recently.
Yeah, well, I was on the West End in London, ready to open City of Angels. We were a week away from opening, and Broadway shut down that previous Wednesday, and we thought, okay, maybe London's gonna muster through, and they shut us down 5 days later. So I ended up coming home. I would say the most serious end of everything was after George Floyd. I got a call from Audra McDonald, who reached out to all her friends and said, guys, what can we do? So we created Black Theater United.
Let's talk about the organization as a whole and what people need to know and what you're doing.
We are an advocacy group. We've got mentorships. We've been able to do these amazing town halls, which we started out with when we first came together in June. We want to be an advocate for taking action and making change.
Take a step for change.
One of our recent ones, which just came out, is our single, called Stand for Change, which came to me from one of my dear friends who wrote one of my biggest hits, Save the Best for Last, Phil Galston, who is a professor at Steinhardt at NYU. And Dave Schroeder, another professor at Steinhardt, wrote a song after we were all grieving and stunned about George Floyd, and said, I had you, Black Theater United, in mind. Do you think you'd like this? And I played it for our founders, and we all loved it and thought it completely lined up with our mission. And we all recorded it COVID style, like whether it's a mic like this or whether it's on your phone doing voice memos. We broke everyone's line down, and then Karen Ford, who's one of our members, who's one of the only Black female sound mixers on Broadway, she produced all of it and had to sync up all of the vocals and mix them. Then one of our other members, Michael McElroy, who is the head of Broadway International Voices, got all of the choir to sing the background parts, and of course he arranged those. And then we had Muse, which are the Black instrumentalists and musical directors on Broadway, actually play the music. So it was definitely kind of a family production. And then bringing it to life was the hardest because of COVID precautions.
I like how you likened Stand for Change to possibly We Are the World one day, and having that same message that resonates, year after year, and it's timeless.
You can't ignore the change that has happened globally. And it's almost like a giant reset button. Everyone is listening. Everyone is ready to morph and change and restart. And I think that's where we are.
Broadway alum Katharine McPhee is a brand new mom, and she's got a brand new TV show. Paul's here with more.
Hi, Tamsin. 2021 is off to an amazing start for Katharine. She and her husband, David Foster, just welcomed their new son in late February. And now you can see her starring and singing in her new Netflix sitcom, Country Comfort.
I've been here before, I'm no stranger to this town.
Bailey, we still haven't made it. Someone has to change.
Okay, what direction?
You're out. She's in.
Katharine plays an aspiring country singer named Bailey, who takes a job as a nanny for a handsome cowboy and his 5 children. We talked about parenting, country comfort, and more. Comfort shows are very important to us right now, right? I mean, just the fact that it has the word comfort in it, like so much of Netflix has been comfort for us.
I know, it's so true. It's such a relaxing show to watch. Honestly, when I have to watch myself, like they send me something for watch the episode so you know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
And I thought, oh God, here I go. I'm gonna have to watch this. And it's hard for me to watch myself, and I didn't have anybody around. And I put it on on a Friday night, and I watched 6 episodes in a row. And I honestly, I enjoyed it. I genuinely really liked the show. And I mean, I loved doing the show, but I really liked the show, and it was easy for me to watch. So I thought, okay, this is a good sign. If I can stomach it, because I'm going to be the toughest critic on myself for sure, then this could be a good sign for people finding this show and hopefully liking it. It's a really sweet concept for a show.
So is this something you filmed before the pandemic?
Yeah, so we shot, I think I started in February, or the end of January. It's a sitcom, so we did in front of a live audience, which was really great every Friday night. The energy, the visitors backstage, and it was just really, really fun. And then we got shut down after 4 episodes, and we shut down for about 6 months. I came back, I was 5 months pregnant, 5 months pregnant. And so my costumes changed quite a bit. I was suddenly wearing things a little more drapey, and my body was quite fit the first 4 episodes. I was showing off my arms and midriff and things like that. And she wasn't quite as sexy when she returned for episode 5. It's great being a new mom. He's the sweetest. And I know every mom probably says that, but I love being a mom. I love it. I mean, I knew I would love it. And I just didn't know I would get so lucky to have such a sweet, good sleeping baby. He's doing pretty well. He's eating really well and sleeping really well. So you're tired, but it's the best kind of tired, because it's just so rewarding, and you just trying to soak up every moment, because it does go by quickly. Like he's already getting so big. He's 3 weeks old, and he's so much bigger than he was when he first came into my arms.
Make it work, make it easy, make it clever, craft it into pieces.
And I'm sure that a lot of the performance of Waitress kind of got you ready for a sitcom too. A lot of the scenes in Waitress were very comedy based.
There's a lot of comedy based in Waitress, and just anytime I think you have experience in front of a live audience, like knowing when to hold for laughs or applause or whatever, is great for sitcom. They're very similar art forms for sure.
How do you look back on that whole sort of experience of doing Jenna and Waitress?
I look back on it so fondly, and it's been really wild for me to think about that last performance, which was January 5th, I think, where we closed Waitress, and it was such a incredible experience to be a part of the show, open the show in London, be able to close it, and then within weeks, like 6 weeks later, if I could probably stand corrected, but the whole community was shut down. As sad as it was to have Broadway shut down, like you just kind of go, whoa, I was so lucky. I was so lucky to really be one of the last few people to experience that, because we had no idea that the community was going to be shut down for so long.
Let's talk Sunday pancakes. That's a star-studded new podcast from Tony Award winner Celia Keenan Bolger. She won that Tony in 2019 for her portrayal of Scout in Aaron Sorkin's To Kill a Mockingbird. We had a chance to chat.
So first, where'd you come up with the name? Because I feel like it makes everybody smile.
You know, did this thing on Instagram. There's an author, her name is Mary H.K. Choi, and she would talk about how she and her friends would send messages back to each other about like something that was on their mind that was like unformed, and they would call it the first pancake. And so I started doing this thing on Instagram where I would just talk about my feelings, and it got a lot of response. As we were talking about the name of the podcast, I was like, you know, it does feel like these are these little like thought pancakes / we all don't get to gather for this time. And the idea of like being around a table on a Sunday morning and just feeling like cozy and like you can have a good conversation. So it came out of that.
So what are some of the conversations and topics you're covering?
It's sort of less of a podcast, I think, about like creative process and your career, and more about how we have been doing this past year and what it means to be an actor who doesn't have any work, and what has come up for us and how we've been spending our time, and what we feel like is positive that we've gleaned from this, and what has been really complicated. When you're an actor, so much of your time is spent being with other actors and just talking and processing what's going on. Right. And I was like, I am an island. I don't have those connections. It's like me, my husband, and my 5-year-old. And they're like, we don't really need to hear any more of your processing.
Right.
And so I think this was a way, it was like a selfish way for me to feel like I can reach out to people that I love and feel a sense of shared experience, which I just, you know, I didn't really feel for a long time last year.
Well, there is still a lot more to talk about on this edition of Broadway Profiles. Up next, a huge update on the new musical based on the life of Princess Diana. We'll tell you when it drops on Netflix and when the show will return to the Broadway stage. Plus, she's wicked good. Jenna Claire Mason tells us how she made it to Broadway and her dream role. This is Broadway Profiles, and we'll be right back. Some of our favorite stories are about how young Broadway stars got their shot in the business, like Jenna Claire Mason. When Broadway returns, she'll step back into the role of Glinda in Wicked, and she's this week's fresh face.
We were kind of raised on the musical theater classics, so, you know, when I get together, my 3 brothers and my parents, like, we might burst into One Day More from Les Mis. Just loved movie musicals, and all the first CDs I remember owning were all soundtracks, you know, My Fair Lady, Annie, Cats, the classics. I did my first show in the 1st grade. It was a school show. It was really deep. It was called Go in Buggy. And that's when the theater bug bit me. Never thought of that. I love dad jokes. And then, like a lot of performers at a young age, put on shows in my living room for my parents to buy tickets to. I think I charged about $0.05 and would choreograph numbers, and my little brother would join in on the dance routines. The big game changer was in 7th grade. I saw the original cast of Wicked on Broadway and told my parents at intermission that I wanted to play Glinda someday. I knew that it would be a really fun career path and started looking into university programs, you know, in high school. My very first college audition was at Elon University. Taylor Trench walked me into my college audition. I fell totally in love with the department and the people and their program, and I saw Sweeney Todd, and like I could not believe I wasn't in New York seeing a Broadway show, and kind of decided I want to go to the school where these people are training, and so I can do what they're doing. I started as the standby for Glinda and actually ended up re-auditioning to go out on the tour and play the role full time. I ended up touring for 20 months, which was a long time and super wonderful, and then found out that I was going to be transferring to Broadway. And it feels so special. You know, they say there's no place like home, but after being the standby for so long before and coming back to this building where there's already so many people I love and it feels very familiar and it feels like a second home. So it's really good to come back home.
For the latest Broadway news and buzz, let's send it back to Paul Wontorek.
Thanks, Tamsin. With Broadway on hold, but streaming services going stronger than ever, some producers are taking their shows to the screen.
I choose happiness, I choose a fresh new start, I choose whatever lies ahead.
The royal-themed Broadway musical Diana, which digs into a lot of the same Diana Spencer, Prince Charles, Camilla Parker Bowles drama as season 4 of The Crown, had just begun performances when COVID-19 shut down Broadway. But last fall, the cast and crew reunited at the Longacre Theatre to film the show for an upcoming small screen premiere.
They minimize your thoughts, they maximize your flaws, the trouble you can cause when you're underestimated.
Diana began streaming October 1st, 2 months before the musical's scheduled return to Broadway. The streaming platform? Netflix, of course, allowing subscribers to bounce between Diana and The Crown.
Farewell to all you pretty ladies waving from the dock. Heave away, me jollies, heave away.
Now, the hit musical Come From Away is following suit. The popular show, which tells of the culture clashes that occur when 38 planes are diverted to Gander, Newfoundland following the events of 9/11, is being filmed at its Broadway home, the Schoenfeld Theater. Although no distribution platform has been announced, plans are to release this filmed performance in September 2021. That's it for me. Back to you, Tamsin.
Still ahead, we're taking it to the limit. We'll introduce you to a longtime Broadway dancer who's launched an all-new fitness career during the pandemic. We'll be back in just a few. You probably know Aladdin has thrilled audiences on Broadway and across the globe for years, and it's one of those shows that we can't wait to see once Broadway returns. It features classic songs and new favorites, incredible sets, and some truly cool dance moves. Well, we talked to one of the awesome members of the ensemble, Josh Drake, about why he's just gotta dance.
I grew up in North Carolina, and I was born in Portland, Maine. And I started dancing at 3. My mom put me in tap shoes when she saw me dancing in front of a music video in my diaper. That's where it started. It was me and 7 girls in a tap class. I stuck with dancing mostly because I was seeing a lot of important and amazing male dancers in my life, I think, mostly through television and through music videos, and also being in school and kind of having that cliche, feedback and like bullying from people was a little tough. So it kind of made me want to prove them wrong in a weird way. Being a homosexual male dancer was tough, so it was sort of like kind of opening everyone's eyes and showing them that it's really an amazing career path, and it's all about the art, it's not necessarily about the gender. The only exposure I had to Broadway or the musical theater was the national tours that came through Charlotte, North Carolina. And for me it was Cats, A Chorus Line, just being in the theater and feeling that energy was pretty incredible. I moved to New York when I was 18, right out of high school, to go to AMDA, the American Musical and Dramatic Academy, in 2010. College was amazing. It was a 2-year conservatory, and I was just immersed in the craft. It was kind of an amazing college experience for me because not only was I doing what I loved, but I was also in the city that I loved. The advice that I would give to up-and-comers, whether it's in musical theater or in dancing, would be to never give up and get to the city as soon as you possibly can. There's something about being in the city and being surrounded by what we do that really drives you, and really, really never give up.
With Broadway still on hold, so many in the theater community have had to pivot, like Beth Nicely. She's been a Broadway dancer for 18 years, but during the shutdown, she launched a whole new virtual fitness career. It's called The Limit. Check it out.
I think the most challenging part is the pivot and transition into a life full of performing for people and being around a lot of people and performers, and now being by myself in a room teaching to Zoom. I think the most joy during this time is the creation of The Limit, the workout itself, and seeing people from all over the world get stronger from this workout and have goals and be working towards those goals during a time that seems very standstill. And seeing joy in other people's faces from the work that I'm doing. I love teaching, I love training people, and it's been awesome, and I wanted to give back during this time too. I wanted to do something to help in any way, and so teaching a weekly class that takes donations from whoever can give to give back has been awesome as well.
And that's going to do it for us. Until next week, I'm Tamsin Fidel, and this is Broadway Profiles, presented by Broadway.com.